And we are live. JT here. Welcome to the huddle. The huddle is where I sit down with successful people from the world of sport and coaching. It's to learn more about their journey to greatness. Why do I have these conversations? Because success always leaves clues. I want to take a moment to thank you, whether you are tuning in to YouTube or on Facebook, or whether you're listening to the audio on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me and my special guest today. And here's my friendly reminder to you. The mind is like a parachute. It works best when it's wide open. So my challenge to you is to remove any distractions and get laser focused on the here and the now. And I guarantee you, you will gain a valuable nugget of wisdom that will not only help you succeed in sport, but more importantly, in the game of life. I've been looking forward to my conversation with my special guest today. We've had some opportunities to connect live and in person, which again is one of the joys of life. And we connected at a provincial flag event a few weeks back. And I said, now's the time, got to bring you on. I want to learn more about your journey to greatness and just help share what you're helping to grow. My guest in the huddle today is the creator and founder of Niagara Youth Flag Football. My guest in the huddle today is Coach Matty Hill. How are you today, brother?
I'm good, JT. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. As you know, I love everything you do and your energy and your passion. And your quote already just resonated with me on what you just said to start. So super honored to be on here with you and just chat life and football and whatever comes in front of us.
Absolutely, brother. Before we get kicked off, pun intended, one of the things I'd like to remind myself and others is that the importance of counting your blessings. And for me, this is a daily practice. I do find the days where I'm most consistent counting my blessings. I do find those days typically are filled with a little bit more calm and peace. And I'm a big believer that the biggest blessing you can give anyone is your time and energy. So I just want to thank you again for blessing me with some of your time and energy today, brother.
Thank you. Feelings mutual.
Okay. So one of the things I like to do in the huddle is to remind people that life is a game and games are supposed to be fun. I had a coaching colleague and a great friend that said, we all have these things that make us unique and different, so celebrate them. So I'm curious, what's an interesting fact that maybe a lot of people don't know about you that you'd be open to sharing with our community today?
An interesting fact. You know what? I think it's fitting I share this. I started flag football because, played it way back when, had a lot of success, more so as a coach than player. And then I had a really bad shoulder dislocation. And that led me with a lot of time on my hands in the wintertime. And that's why everyone kind of goes, why did you really start flag football? And part of it was that I was some downtime and I don't like sitting idle. And I was off work because, I work at a hospital doing recreation therapy. I couldn't be at the hospital with my shoulder. That's kind of what kickstarted all of this. So, ironically enough, a shoulder injury is kind of what really started flag football and really getting us to where we are today.
So it sounds like there was sort of this void per se in your life, and you just felt like, what am I going to fill that void with? And it sounds like flag football was kind of that thing that sort of became sort of a passion of yours.
Yeah, totally. And, and it was just everything. The stars were aligned. I at the time was involved with coaching, various tackle football programs. I had finished up at a prep school where basically all we did was we traveled to the States every weekend. Very taxing on the body, just, busy, time consuming. That season geared down. I ended up getting hurt. And then I was like, there's a real need for flag football. Here in Niagara, there was no flag football being offered. And I came from a city in Hamilton where we did a lot of flag football and probably 4 successful leagues there with thousands and thousands of kids in Burlington. And it really was like, man, there's a lot of people missing out on this beautiful game because let's face it, at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, a lot of kids that age don't want to be playing tackle. And there was no really pathway to get them involved. So it's just kind of all perfect storm fell into place. And I kind of shifted from tackle to that. thinking flag would be less time consuming, but I would argue that point 4 years later. But here we are, anyways.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And, I definitely view you as someone as being, one of the early adopters. I know you started Niagara Youth Flag Football in 2018. So it's interesting. Here we are where I think people are becoming very aware of the potential of flag football, right? When NFL is getting behind it, there's something there. The
Yeah,
Olympics, IOC, right? So I'm curious. You mentioned that you transitioned away from tackle to
yeah.
flag. So it's evident that sport has played an important role for you in your life. I'm curious, what is a life lesson you've received in sport? And again, I know there's many that you find yourself still applying to your life today.
It's a great question. And you know what's funny? It's one that resonates with me in my later years of my life as playing. When I was playing men's touch football, on a pretty competitive team, and we traveled all over, and we had a lot of good experiences. This team was guys aged 18 to 45, and I got daily life lessons. I was in my young 20s when I first started with them from these guys, and what it's all about to be a good teammate and a good person and being together. And these football weekends, it wasn't about football; it was the brotherhood we're still making at such an older age, you would say, right? I mean, you want these life lessons as kids, but we really adopted that lifestyle that like we all went to dinner together. We all went to games together. And we were never that team that every year we're changing our roster because we didn't win or whatever. Like it was a true brotherhood. And it's funny, I look back to that men's team and there's still some of these now high school kids actually playing with them. And a lot of these guys are successful, in life and just good people, good men, good fathers, good brothers, good dads. And they just a lot of common lessons from sport to life. It just all surrounding around being a good person. And you know this better than anyone. We're grooming young men and women in the sport, but not just to be football players and athletes, to be good people, right? And it's funny that life lesson was probably something I got older, as in my 20s as a player, but really adapting what some of the older guys on the team were teaching me. And I tell them to this day, they've had a huge impact on my life and just what it means to be an all around good person and help others.
Mm, I love that share. And why it resonates with me is it's acknowledging and understanding that we do live in a world that programs us and conditions to focus on what makes us, sort of different, what separates us. But like you said, when you start to look at what actually unifies us, what brings us together, how that we probably have a lot more similarities and differences. I don't know. I have found my perspective in life has shifted as I began to look for the greatness and seeing how we can walk alongside of each other together.
Yeah, totally. It's so true. And and I was definitely guilty of being a younger coach that was so ultra competitive, and it was probably more about the wins or losses 10 years ago. And it's second nature, right? Me and you were watching our my one team in the provincial semifinals and joking with the refs and just sitting back enjoying the football, right? And it's you really realize, how many people are looking up to you and how you act and how you behave as, a coach, a program director, and realizing it's bigger than the game of football, what we're trying to do out here, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I love that. And I love that you reference that because you kind of brought me right back to that moment. We're standing there. It's a Sunday night. We're just like kind of shooting the what and just hanging out, having some fun. And, that's what life's about. So
Yeah.
I'm curious from your perspective, again, because you've created some success, right? Both, at the local level, at the provincial level, at the national and international level, right? You've been a part of some great programs. I'm curious, as you have shifted your mindset for one of less on competition, but more on collaboration, more on creation, what have you noticed about maybe how you've been able to impact and what the people you work with have been able to create?
So I think that's a great question. I think the interesting thing right now about our travel program is our travel coaches right now are people I love being around, and they're, very hungry, driven people that want more. And, we go to provincials and we have a lot of success, and then we go stateside and we struggle. And it's like, even after winning, some of these teams winning at provincials, they're back to the drawing board. They want to get better. They want to work harder, go stateside. Of course, the competition is so stiff, but we're coming back from there and we're like, what? We're right there. Our last one, I know, my, our U18 team that just won provincials, a group of grade 10 boys. we were down in, well, Florida and Philly, but a team there that's won something like 62 of their last 63 games, and they got 4 guys on Team USA. We lost to them by 6 points, and we're so close that you think you'd be content, and we're not. We're getting hungrier and hungrier. We want to work more. I'm guilty of being so busy with house league and camps and development and travel that I'm probably not pushing them to, hey, go take your U18 team, go take your U14, go get your U12 girls, get on the field, get out there working more. But the coaches are driving it themselves. So, as we say, you surround yourself around like-minded people. And, my travel coaches know I think the world of them. They do a lot of good for the program. They know how to shift gears. They go to travel, their travel hats on. They go to Friday night house league, and I laugh. Like, we got one coach, Coach Cliff Ivory. He played, professional football, CFL, a little bit of NFL. Incredible man, incredible motivational guy. And he's having his kids throw intentional interceptions and missing flags, and because he understands that team that might beat them today is going to mean the world to them. And just being around people like that, it just you can't help but make yourself better, right? So.
And I love that you shared that simple reminder, right? It's really easy to look at results and to sort of create a story from those results. Like, oh, I won, I'm great. Oh, I lost, I'm not great, right? And it's interesting that you sort of framed it as it's just feedback, right? Like that's all that is. It's just feedback on what has happened up to this point. So I'm curious, one thing you mentioned was you've chosen to surround yourself with a strong and powerful team. As you have grown, right, what Niagara Youth Flag Football looks like, how important has that been for you to surround yourself with other strong and powerful, calm and confident leaders?
It's so important, JT. And, when you get into the travel level, right? Like, listen, our house league, our bread and butter coaches right now are dads and moms who loved the game and wanted to be involved, and they're good people. And we got them going. And as we took it to the next level, we realized, okay, travel coaches could be mom or dad, but your kid needs to be one of the best players, because I don't want any discrepancy in politics or why so-and-so's playing. We've always been big on that. But these coaches, they just have such great character that it's never an issue. Like anything, you've always got some bad apples. And I've had some in more so, I would say, my house league where, they're really mean on kids. And people know, like, I will respectfully walk you off the field right then and there. That is not the place. Like, some of my coaches really help in the clinic. If you're having a bad day, don't come to the field, because you don't know what those kids are going through. And we really hammer that home. I think my travel coaches really set the tone for that, because the house league coaches kind of look up to them. They're like, well, these guys are going and winning all these championships. They've been coaching. They've got this extensive resume, but they're out here at house league just having fun. So they keep me hungry, these travel coaches, because they want more and they want more experiences. I've been blessed to be on the world stage and the national stage several times. And some of those coaches now are kind of getting to that point where they want a piece of it, right? So it's really, they just drive me. They keep me driving, and it's a lot of fun.
And I love how you talk about, those characteristics, those qualities that you're, clearly looking for, you're identifying, and that you're sort of reinforcing with your coaches as you've grown. How important has that sort of emphasis been that, if you want to coach alongside us, if you want to mentor these young people, you got to be able to like leave everything else at home, so that when you're on the field, your focus is on helping and serving these young people along the journey. How important has it been to have clear, characteristics, qualities, values from your
So
coaches?
important, JT, and you know this better than anyone. We run a coaching clinic before every season starts, and it's nice. I've leaned on other coaches to speak at it. Our dear friend Alexia, I get her speaking to it anytime I can with her expertise in safe sport policy and I mean everything she brings to the table. But having multiple voices, not just me saying, hey, this is what we're about, like other people saying it. And our last coaching clinic was really cool. You could really see everyone coming together as a unit. And like, Coach John or Coach Megan, their first time out, and like, hey, Maddie, what about this idea? And like, just brilliant ideas to really make the league a safe place for all the kids, and just doing our best job. I always said this, well, as we grown and these numbers are huge right now, I don't want to lose sight of what we're all about. And we send weekly reminders to our coaches. Hey, little Joey, he's probably never thrown a ball before. Let him go quarterback for a bit. Little Emily, she's terrified out there. Find a way to get her involved. And all these kids, just make their day extra special. And we just hammer that message home weekly. They call me squirrel at the field because I'm everywhere, but I'm circling the field and I want to make sure we're providing a good, positive environment for all the kids. And another thing that's really helped us is we have high school players now wanting to coach. Those high school players were mentored by some of our best coaches when we were smaller and, when our league was 100 or 200 and it was my same 7 or 8 coaches. So they understand the standard. They understand how to be around kids. So that's really been cool to see that the high school kids right now are probably some of my best coaches. They're full of energy, positive enthusiasm, and they just do such a great job out there.
Mm. And I love that you share that. And it reminds me this idea of attitude reflects leaders, right? And it's a great reminder that, you creating this space where it's positive, it's inspiring, it's empowering of others is very important to you. And what I love is that, tapping into, when Alexia and I, when she was on the podcast, we talked about, it's redefining what safe sport means. Because I think in our world of football, for some reason, people equate safe sport with something different. It's like taking out all the best parts of it. Whereas you highlighted, it's really about providing the best possible experience for everyone, right? So they stay involved. So
100%.
I love that that's a big focus of the program.
Yeah. And, a cool thing about, as you know, with a flag football just seems to bring out all walks of life, right? All like everyone seems to have an interest in flag football and everyone's dealing with their own battles and internal struggles. And I want 700 kids in my league, whether they liked football or not. I want them leaving knowing that they had a good experience, and they got some mentorship and they really gained some value, whether it was football or life skills, right? It's so important to me as you grow and you become more mature and you see what it's all about. And I just love that all the coaches and people involved in the league, we really all share that same core and values. And I think it shows, in the consistent growth of the program and, the positive vibes around it. So.
Absolutely. So I'm curious again, I consider you someone who's an early adopter, right? Like I'm just sort of becoming aware of like flag and, it's interesting as someone who is not very familiar with flag until I stepped into this role, Football Ontario. It's been amazing to watch leaders such as yourself who've been doing it for years, showing that this is what's possible. I'm curious, like, what do you see happening right now in terms of what do you see at the local level, at the provincial level, at the national, at the international level, in terms of the potential of flag?
So what I think is cool, and I always said this as my approach, and, we've really hammered home house league and fair play and fun and how important it is. And, now I take a step back and I look at some of our travel kids and programs, and there are some kids in our high school flag and touch program that are off already, like grade 12s getting football scholarships. They do flag or touch one season, and then they're doing tackle one season. There is some exceptional talent, as you know, and we've seen it. And I think it's changing the game a little where whether, you're playing a summer tackle season, a fall tackle season, and then touch and flag, whatever people are doing, it's changing the game. And what really opened it up to me stateside when we go and play, there's like college recruiters watching grade 9s and 10s playing flag and touch. And I think you're seeing that a little bit slowly starting here in Canada. If they're not watching these kids, they're already on their radar, whether it was from Team Ontario, high school, summer tackle football. They know who these kids are. Now they're going out and playing flag or touch right now. And again, I go back to our team that just won provincials and was at nationals last year. Those grade 10 boys, maybe I'll go on record and quote it. I think there's 7 or 8 of them that they're all going to go on to the next level and play university football if they want. And flag and touch is giving them that opportunity to hone in on their skills, keep working at it. We've got some grade 7 and 8 boys right now that, we're trying to say, guys, I think you're ready for tackle. They don't really want to do it yet. I know for a fact they're some of the best flag football players or football players in the province. It's just going to be a matter of strapping on the helmet and pads, getting accustomed to that and adjusting. And then I think the one market where we've really tapped in and where's really cool is our girls flag football teams. More recently, just our grade 8, our U16 girls, they were all grade 8s. One grade 9 girl. We lost a heartbreaker to Ottawa, phenomenal program up in Ottawa, mostly grade 9 girls. Very strong program there. That group of girls led by Alexia, it's a strong group of girls. They're very good. Our grade 7 girls, same thing. They had a perfect tournament. They had a tough loss in the finals. Very special. We've got some grade 4 or 5 girls. These girls are going down stateside against teams that are playing 7 days a week, doing 2-a-days. and holding their own. So I think there's a real unique market, and we're seeing the girls here. Sorry about my dog. We're seeing the girls here with Emily with Football Ontario doing incredible things, and I think that they're really getting it to the next level. And Flag and Touch is really for everyone, just gonna open up doors and really, give them opportunities that weren't there before.
Yeah, I love everything you're sharing. It's what I really heard from you again was this idea of it's creating more opportunities, right? And again, it's interesting because sometimes people think flag and tackle are competing, but like you said, it's just acknowledging that there are different entry points for different people, right? Like some may feel more comfortable coming in through tackle, some may feel more comfortable coming into flags, some may even feel more comfortable coming in through coaching. Whatever that is, whatever gets them in the door and gets them within our beautiful game, that's where we can really start to show them how special our beautiful game is.
I love that you say that, JT. It's so true. And people sometimes think like I'm anti-tackle. I love tackle. I grew up playing it. I've coached it at multiple levels. I think there's very much a place in it. I do think we might see a shift in the up and coming years, how young kids start tackle. Maybe, a conversation for another day. But what I'm seeing is these kids that are starting flag as young as 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they're going into, our local tackle program. We seem to have a lot of kids that go on to the Niagara Spears, Niagara Generals. These kids are going there and having so much success. And it's like, why? It's like, well, they've been playing flag for 5 years. They know how to run a route, catch a ball, throw a ball. So it's just making the game better, right? And you can really see it as a whole. I look at one school in our region, Ann Meyer. They've been really big in adopting what we do with flag. Ann Meyer's winning championships every year. They're producing university caliber football players every year. Those kids are really bought into the flag and touch in the wintertime when there's nothing offered. Let's face it, there's no tackle in the winter, and they're going to tournaments and going up here, going there. They're just at provincials. They're putting in that extra time, and it's benefiting them. Their passing game and what they do is second to none, right? Because of all the reps they're getting on air. So there's a beautiful, like you said, it's a beautiful game, flag, tackle, touch, whatever it may be. Get involved and just see what doors it can open, right?
Yeah. And I love that you sort of used your example, right? Because again, facts, are objective, right? If you take a look at that group, that Niagara team, that U18 that is actually a year younger, that won, that represented our province at the U16 level. It's interesting that I agree with you. I watched that group. I've seen them for the last 2 seasons, and there are definitely some U Sport caliber student athletes if that's the path they choose. And it's funny, like you said, it's in flag, they're able to still work on their agility, their balance, those coordinations, those ABCs of fundamentals of any athlete.
Yeah.
And the part is we're removing the physicality, the sort of the contact from tackle, that they can actually hone those skills in different ways. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And the funny thing is with some flag in that group in particular, you hear the comments, they win a game 40-0. And if we put the pads on, it's different. Some of these kids are the toughest kids out there. They just love the game of football, and they'll go play it wherever it's offered. Flag, touch, tackle. They just love the game, right? So,
you know what? One thing I loved about them the most, watching them, especially this year, was smiling. They're having fun, right? Like they were cheering each other on. Guys are going into different spots, and they're still cheering each other on. Like that's what it's about, right? It's a game.
Yeah.
Like
it really is a special group. We have a lot of fun with that team. It's me and my brother joke, like he coaches them. I try to be involved as much as I am because they're just a special group of kids. And that also helps you realize as a coach and a program owner, like I joke, like those kids came like that. They didn't get that from us. Like they are just a great group of kids. It's built. That's how they are. And guess what? They're all coaching and reffing in our league. And knowing that we've got 10 mentors like that in our league, there's just so much value. And I tell them all the time, how proud we are of how they carry themselves and how they act. And that's what it's all about, right? So
absolutely. So I'm curious, again, you've had a wealth and diverse set of experiences that have allowed you to see the game at multiple levels, right? And create success for yourself in the program. I'm curious, like, what do you think needs to happen to really put flag, to really take it to the next level in terms of like participation, really maybe in terms of wins and losses too, if that's a metric. But yeah, what do you feel needs to happen to really take flag to the next level?
So what I think is important, and I love that, and I think we've had these conversations. I love that, going to the provincials, how it's, the winning team moves on. I think what's important, for a few years, it was kind of getting lost. It was like, let's hand pick a team from all over. I've always said this: you need about 7 or 8 studs to make a really good high level flag football team, and every city has. You've got it. You just got to put in the time and the work. So we need to get every city adapting. Like, get the house league going. Let's get travel going. Let's be at provincials. Let's see 16 to 24 teams at each league, level. Let's see best on best. That's what we get every time we go stateside. And I don't think we're far behind doing that. Every time we go there, every game's a dogfight. You don't want to go to a tournament and win 40-0. No one benefits from that. You want to go there, compete with the best of them. So I think just more competition, more tournaments, seeing what's out there, and also like endorsing it, like letting them know, we had a couple university scouts come out to one of our high school tournaments last year. We hosted it was touch. And then the kids are really buying in. They're like, wait, like, okay, like I can still showcase my skills out here. Right. And just getting more people involved. I think it was pretty cool provincials. There's a lot of good coaches there, a lot of good program coordinators there at the last event that I know are driving the game, and they want to see more of it because they want to compete. Right. And I think just getting it to that level, I think finding a way too to keep flag. The beauty thing of Flag and Touch is finding a way to keep it inexpensive. Right. Me and the financial struggles with some, and how expensive sport can be. That's been a big thing for me in Niagara. We just increased our price for the first time in 4 years, and it was because we partnered with NFL Flag. Our jersey kits went a little more expensive, but finding ways to keep it inexpensive, getting them out competing, because if we can have thousands and thousands and thousands playing house league flag football, we're generating revenue because things cost money. We know that. But then we can I've kind of gone the opposite way with my travel program. We run our travel just to cover our costs. Like, so there's no money being made in travel, and that helps keep it affordable. We do fundraising. Our last travel season was maybe 200 to 300 per player, depending on how many tournaments they did. They got 5 to 6 tournaments out of it, 5 to 6 months of training. So there's a lot of value in that. And I think that's why we had the best of the best at our program. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing, when we go places, we're having a lot of success because the kids are invested.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. And I love that idea, again, really aligned with like Football Ontario, like football for all, right? Like, and we have to understand that every family has different financial realities, but the more we can do to reduce the cost to participate, right, we create greater access. So I'm curious, from your perspective, as someone who's leading a great program, how are you finding that balance to where, yes, you want to provide the best possible program, right? Like, you are someone who's driven by excellence, but then at the same time understanding that in order to create that, there are financial, like, it does, high performance programming does require high performance dollars. So how are you finding that ability to navigate that, like, dance, we'll call it?
Yeah, it's a great one. And, we've talked about it before, the struggles, right, of us, like, we're not going to Georgetown, for example, for nationals. It's Winnipeg. And like you said, there's high performance. There's a lot of fees for that. We've been fortunate because we've done a lot of driving distance tournaments this year, so you're hopping in the car, you're going. But it's a juggling act. We have my brother's probably the biggest supporter. He's a sponsor of the league. Basically all his sponsorship dollars go towards kids in need financially for our league. No questions asked. It's a phone call to me. This is boom. We're going to put the money towards the registration. Now, in saying that, that's $150 or $175 season. We can do more of that. Travel's a little trickier because there's not quite the funds for that, but we have definitely worked with some where, we'll do like a payment plan over the year. We'll reduce the cost. We'll dip into some sponsorship money from House League to help couple travel. Aaron Clark did a great initiative this year. We did a comedy club night. It raised over $2,000. So it's, like you said, it's a juggling act of, okay, I don't want Johnny or Megan to not play travel because they can't afford it, but there is still a small cost we have to associate with things, because maybe we need to structure it better because it's so relaxed. someone could call me and say, Matt, I can't afford football. And then I see them pull up in a Corvette on Friday. we might need a more structured program. But I think we just have so many good, honest people involved in the league. We just take their word for it. It's a simple phone call. Yep, no problem. Registration's covered. So we're a work in progress there. We do need to figure out a way to structure it better, because then it's not fair to use up a lot of my sponsorship money for travel when travel's some years costing money, because we're just so eager to get out there and do things and get them going. So
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, and I appreciate you being so, open and honest with kind of like, the juggling act that you deal with as a program lead. And it's interesting, but what I really heard from you was this idea of like it's building that culture of trust, right? Where people can reach out to you for help and support. And it's understanding that, it's funny, we sometimes want to live in this one size fits all approach, but no, you got to look at each student athlete, each family, right, as a unique situation. When you do that and you build that trust, it's interesting how that's actually how you can best help and serve them.
That's a great point. Yeah, I didn't even really think of it that way, but essentially that's really what's happening. And the cool thing is there's just so many amazing people. And it'll be a parent or a coach and say, "Hey, I'm going to cover so and so," or it's just such an amazing culture right now that we just find a way to make it work. And I would like to see it a little more structured moving forward, because then, hey, why'd you help so and so and not me? And you don't know everyone, right? Some of the most proudest people, hardest working people are the ones not asking for help that maybe need it. And we want to make sure we're not missing out on those people as well.
And I think it speaks volumes about who you are, right? Like you're willing to ask those questions and like just say, yeah, are we best serving everyone, right? And it's understand, like even having the courage to ask yourself that question, that self-reflection piece speaks volumes about who you are and sort of taking responsibility, in who you are and who you show up as. So I acknowledge you for that, brother.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what do you want to see happen next, right? So if we're just speaking about, Niagara Youth Flag Football, what would you like to see happen? Where's your focus going in the next 6 months, year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? Like,
yeah. So we've kind of, I think this is our first year where we kind of know what a year looks like now. It's been,
okay.
60 kids year one, COVID, here we are with 700 kids and travel. And we're trying to have what's a year look like. I think a year for us is what it's going to look like now is we run our spring summer season on Friday nights. At Young Sportsplex. You've been there. It's an incredible facility. That's kind of a April, May, June. We take a break July, a little bit of August. We get back at it mid-August to end of September. Then we run like a summer, fall, Friday night lights. Again, that's our house league. We do a winter camp. Every winter, we do just training, skills, and drills. We keep it super affordable. We did it last year for $60 for 6 weeks. That's just get kids out, try it, come play, hone in on your skills. Travel, I think we're going to structure to now be like a year-round thing. We finish our technical travel season end of August. We'll probably do tryouts in September while the weather's nice, break till January, and then basically travel January to August. And locally, provincially, internationally, just keep map out a year. Hey, this is what we're doing. Set a price. This is what we're doing. I got a big event tournament I'm hosting end of August. We've got teams from USA and Mexico coming. Mexico's bringing 15 national teams. So we're super pumped about that. That'll be the end of August. That's kind of what a year is hopefully going to look like. We've generally done like a high school family day tournament. That's been pretty big. We've kind of gotten teams from all over. We had Quebec Flight School, as you know, is a very strong program coming down. So anytime you can see the best of the best, it's always fun. So that's hopefully what a year is going to look like. But man, these parents and coaches are killing me. They want more. They want more. So we just keep filling the calendar. But I would like to have a structured year so people kind of know what to expect. We do want a little more commitment out of our travel program. We've seen, for example, our girls teams, they're all in. They, like you talked, all in. They're all in, and they're doing very well. The older boys team we've talked about, they're all in, and they do very well. So we would like to get, we've kind of been helping people to get there, but now, we're seeing it. We have people coming from Toronto and Hamilton to join our Niagara Nitro travel program. So we got to tighten up the leash a little. Like you've got to be all in. We don't want, players or parents that are half in and half out. We respect that a lot of these kids are multi-sport athletes, and we do work with scheduling and practices and tournaments. But I would like to see the commitment level be everywhere because our coaches and some players put in a lot of that time. So we want it across the board.
So a couple of themes sort of popped up as you were sharing there, right? Like this really, sort of raising the bar about excellence, right? About what it means to be part of the Niagara Youth Flag Football family, right? Or the Niagara Nitro family. Like the bar is getting rose, sorry.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it sounds like around this idea of like alignment, like just creating more alignment in the pathway so that things are clear. I also love how you build in time for, breaks, because I know you're a big family guy as well.
Yeah.
So it's really great to see just that clarity, that alignment, the excellence piece are all, a big focus of what's happening going forward.
Yeah, no, I like what you said too. The breaks are important, and I think too, like sometimes just for parents, I think to reset. The kids will go every night if you let them, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of having some no sport. I mean, some sports are 12 months a year. Again, another conversation, but I'm so big on multi-sport athletes. Some of the best kids I coach and see become professional athletes were multi-sport athletes, and it's so tough in our society. We're seeing coaches say, you got to do this 7 days a week for 12 months a year, or you're never going to make it. And it's like, that's not the case. Like, let them be kids, let them experience other sports, other experiences. We'll be here and we'll challenge you to the absolute max, but go do hockey, go do soccer, go do dance, go do gymnastics, go do it all. Just have experiences.
I love it. And it's all around what I really heard there is around this idea of focus less on the competition and more about collaboration, right? And they can learn a lot of great stuff in other sports from other coaches and other people. And, that's what life's about.
Exactly. Totally.
Okay. So I'm curious, brother, if anyone is interested in learning more about what you're helping to grow Niagara, or, maybe they just even like to pick your brain because they want to, create, a program of excellence like you're helping to do. What's the best way that people can follow the journey and really learn more about you and Niagara Flag Football?
Yeah, so our Instagram and Facebook is Niagara Youth Flag Football. You can email us at niagarayouthflagfootball@gmail.com. And then our website as well, niagarayouthflagfootball.com. And yeah, we're here. We're, like I said, I'm always willing to have conversations and grow the game and see what's happening. And we're seeing it. I think the game's really taken off, and so it should. It's a very unique sport, very fun game, different from other sports. And, when it's done right, it can be very affordable for people. And with the rising cost of everything, I mean, I think every household can appreciate a sport that is affordable, right? And that's just what we want to do. So I'm always here to have those conversations and help anyone with anything to do with the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be happy to share all of those handles, the emails in the description, either on the podcast, on YouTube, or on Facebook. So, Matt, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you. I want to take a moment to acknowledge you for the great man you are, the great husband, the great dad, teacher, coach, mentor, but more importantly, the amazing human being you are. The one thing that's always resonated with me about you when we first met is you can tell, like, you got an energy, you got an enthusiasm, you got a passion for life. Right. And it's a great reminder that when you surround yourself with people with high energy, high enthusiasm, high passion, that's where you can really start to create some change in this world. So again, I just want to thank you for providing me that reminder, and really enthused to see where your journey and how it continues to unfold.
Thanks, JT. And you know how much I think about you. I think the world of you and everything you do. And it's funny. I think our first conversation was probably me complaining about a rule at a tournament, and it just, you instantly made me change my energy. You're everything you do is incredible. You're such a motivational inspiration to everyone, and I know everyone around you is better because of that. So I thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, brother, and I'll take a moment just to receive that. So thank you very much. So, folks, Coach Hill drops so many valuable nuggets of wisdom that will not only help you succeed in sport, but more importantly, in the game of life. But as I like to remind you every week in the huddle, knowledge is potential power. It's the consistent and focused application of great knowledge that actually creates great results. So my challenge to you is to take one of these valuable nuggets of wisdom and go apply it to your life today. As I like to remind you every week in the huddle, you are deserving of greatness. You are worthy of greatness. You are greatness. And my only ask from these conversations is, if it resonated with you, if it touched your heart, then please share it with a friend, a family member, a teammate, or just someone you think that would benefit from listening to these positive, inspiring, and empowering ideas. The more people we have applying these simple ideas to their life, the more blessed this world will be. As always, love having these conversations with you in the huddle. And most importantly, have a blessed rest of your day.